Application derivatives will start now because there will be more questions on application derivatives than differentiation in entrance. Suppose there's a function which is y is equal to f of x. And we differentiate this function. Differentiation basically means that we find ratio of change in y with respect to change in x. So derivative of a function basically means limit delta x tending to 0, delta y by delta x, right? So this is derivatives. So change in dy, change in y with respect to x, when delta x is tending to small. I mean, it's very extremely chota. So that is nothing but delta y by delta x. So change in one quantity. लास्ट क्लास में कहाँ थी तू? ऑनलाइन ही कर लेती. चलो ठीक है. So change in y with respect to change in x, but delta x is tending to 0. That means it is dy by dx. So dy by dx is derivative of y with respect to x. Now what this gives physically, let's see that. This is delta y, this is delta x. If I complete this triangle, this angle would be theta, right? Or if delta x is tending to 0, that means dx is extremely small. This triangle would be almost this because dx is almost tending to 0. So this line would be basically tangent to this graph. लिखा तो है यहाँ पे. So when you find dy by dx, basically it gives you slope of the tangent. So physical significance of dy by dx is that it gives you slope of the tangent. So when you differentiate something, it gives you slope of the tangent on the curve y is equal to f of x at x comma y. So that is the physical significance of derivative, जो कि पूरे entire AOD में यूज होने वाला है. कैमरा ऑन करो सब लोग. दिव्शा, एमा, मनसीरत, रागिनी, संबित. So derivative gives us slope of the tangent drawn on the curve at that particular point. That is the meaning of derivative or dy by dx. So this is what you're gonna use. So f dash x or dy by dx is slope of the tangent on the function y equal to fx at a given point, say x comma y. The point says this. So derivative at this point का मतलब the slope of the tangent. This line is basically tangent. Suppose we have a function like this. And there's another function whose graph is this. Origin, y-axis, and this is x-axis. Suppose I choose a point, say there's a point P on this particular first graph, and I find dy by dx. At P, you find dy by dx. So what will be dy by dx at P? Will this number be positive or negative? This number will be positive because this tangent is basically making an acute angle, say theta 1. Theta 1 is less than 90, therefore it is positive. So at point P, it is derivative will come out to be positive. So next point is Q over here. If I draw a tangent over here, what will be dy by dx at Q? This tangent is making how much angle with the x-axis? 0. It's parallel to x-axis. So the tangent at the point Q is parallel to x-axis because it is making 0-degree angle. So at Q, dy by dx will be 0. So this point is x1. I take another point, say this point is R. If you draw a tangent over here, what about this angle? So this angle is theta 2 and it will be more than 90. So dy by dx at R will be tan of theta 2 and that will be negative, right? What if I find derivative at this point? S dy by dx at S will be 0 because tangent is parallel to x-axis. So this point is x2. If I take another point T and draw a tangent over here, this angle would be again acute. So what is dy by dx? Positive. All right. So at T, tan theta 3 is positive. Slope is positive. Now this, now can you do the same thing for the points P, Q, R, S, N, T? करो अपने आप से, पूरा लिख लो अपने आप से. Write it yourself completely. Emma, could you find those videos?
So you didn't forget to record them. You posted on YouTube, but you didn't put it on the website.
No, it is on YouTube, the previous years, 25,
No,
26.
no, no. The one for this year also was there from 2nd of May, but you didn't upload it on the website.
Okay. इन सब पे स्लोप का साइन dy by dx का साइन बताना है. Sin of dy by dx at these points. ग्राफ तो बनाओ. बिना ग्राफ वो भी तुमने बनाया ही नहीं अभी तक. ये सारा काम आने वाला है. मैक्सिमम मिनिमम इंक्रीजिंग डिक्रीजिंग बहुत जरूरी है. Syllabus of JEE is same as NCRT. Complex में extra, I did extra because last year they gave some extra question. No, you can try, but the level would be higher, time consuming. So at P dy by dx would be what? Negative or positive? It will be negative. Dy by dx at Q will be 0. Dy by dx at R would be positive, dy by dx at s will be 0, and dy by dx at t would be negative, right? Hmm. p पे 0 का है, ज्यादा सोचो मत. So when you differentiate something, up other way around, if you differentiate something, suppose you've been given a function y is equal to f of x, this is a function. If I differentiate this function, second step, I equate it to 0 and I solve for the points. Suppose I get x1, x2. There's a function, we differentiate the function, equate that derivative to 0 and solve for x. So in a way, I'll get those points where derivative is 0, or the points where the slope changes slope changes sign. So these are called, see, if you differentiate a function, equate it to 0, solve for x1, x2, that means these are critical points. Critical point means those points at which the sign of derivative changes, either from positive to negative or from negative to positive. So if you differentiate a function, equate it to 0, you get those points where derivative of the function changes. Like for this particular graph, look at this interval. It is minus infinity to x1. Everywhere, wherever you differentiate the function, dy by dx will be positive. Okay? The second interval is this. It is x1 to x2. In the entire interval, wherever you differentiate, dy by dx would be negative. That is, it is a decreasing function. And then the third interval, x2 to infinity. So everywhere derivative would be negative. Sorry, positive. Function is increasing. So now we can identify with the help of differentiation how to find intervals where function is increasing or decreasing. Increasing or decreasing का मतलब क्या है? If you increase x, it implies that y also increases. If you decrease x, y also decreases. Then we call it a increasing function. If you increase x, y increases, or if you decrease x, y also decreases, then this is increasing function. Graphically, you are climbing on the mountain, then it is increasing function. Mathematically, in that interval, dy by dx will be positive. See, in this interval, function is increasing, that is, dy by dx will be positive everywhere. So if in an interval dy by dx is positive, that would mean it's an increasing function. And if dy by dx is negative, like in this interval, if you increase x, y decreases. If you decrease x, y increases. It would be decreasing function. So graphically, if you are climbing on the function, it's increasing. If you sit here and slide down till here, it is a decreasing function. Again, you climb, it is increasing function. Mathematically, if you find dy by dx positive, it means increasing. And if dy by dx is negative, it's decreasing. And these points are called point of extremum. These are points of extremum. Why point of extremum? Because at these points, function is locally maxima or minima. It is extreme. Like x1 के सराउंडिंग में x1 पे फंक्शन इज मैक्सिमम, x2 के ऑल अराउंड x2 is the minimum. So these are point of extremum. That is, it could be minimum also, it could be maximum also. अभी करते हैं, वही करेंगे. So now we know that if dy by dx in a given interval is more than 0, the function is said to be a strictly increasing function. If dy by dx in a given interval is less than 0, negative, it is said to be strictly decreasing function. But sometimes you come across a situation when dy by dx is not greater than 0, but it may be equal to 0 also. किसी interval में if derivative is greater than or equal to 0, it would not be strictly increasing function. It will be said to be, it will be simply increasing function. Now, what does it mean? It means that when you differentiate the function at particular point, derivative may be 0. Like at this point, the graph becomes slightly horizontal. So at this particular point, x1, derivative is 0. At the point x1, derivative 0 हो रहा है. That means the graph at this point is parallel to x-axis. So I can't say that derivative is always greater than 0. It is positive, like here to here is positive, then it becomes 0, and then again positive. So dy by dx is greater or equal to 0. Like I'll give an example. If you have a function f of x is equal to x minus 1 whole cube. If I differentiate this, your answer would be 3x minus 1 whole square. Now this derivative can be 0 also. At x equal to 1 it will be 0. But otherwise it will be always positive because it's a perfect square. So this is greater or equal to 0. It is not a strictly increasing function on R. It is increasing function on R. And 1 पे क्या हो रहा है? 1 पे its graph would be something like this. At x equal to 1, the derivative is coming out to be 0. See, x equal to 1, f dash 1 is 0. So this function is something like this. At differentiate किया ना इसको, this is a function. इसको differentiate किया, you get this. Now this is equal to 0 also, but positive also. Why positive? Because perfect square है. And y 0 because 1 पे ये 0 हो जाएगा. तो उसका ग्राफ कहीं पे थोड़ा सा horizontal बन गया. So that is why it's not strictly increasing. Similarly, we may come across a situation when dy by dx is less or equal to 0. So we'll say only simply decreasing function. We won't say strictly decreasing function. And again, the same story. At some point, the graph becomes horizontal. So dy by dx is 0, otherwise it is negative. So that is a fine difference between strictly increasing, strictly decreasing, or decreasing function. माही समझ में आया तुम्हें? कहाँ हो तुम? माही शॉपिंग भी कर रही हो, क्लास भी कर रही हो. देखो महान है ये. हमारे दोस्त का है. हम्म. हम्म. Right. Now the question is, if there's a function given to you and the question is find the intervals in which function is increasing or decreasing, you know, There's a function given to us, and the question is find the intervals in which function is increasing or decreasing. What are the steps? So first you write the function, equation number one. Second step would be find derivative, that is f dash x. Call it equation number two. Third step, it equate the derivative to zero and find the critical points, the points of extremum. Fourth step would be plot a number line. And then form intervals. Form intervals. तुम एक स्टेप में कर लेना, एक बार समझ में आ जाएगा, then you can use only one step. See, in entrance, steps won't matter, but boards में you have to write the steps. Form intervals. Intervals क्या बनेंगे? Minus infinity to x1. Next is x1 to x2. And third is x2 to x3, infinity. It depends, If there's only one critical point, two intervals, two critical point, three intervals, three critical point, four intervals. And then choose some point in the given interval, say x naught, substitute in the derivative, and if it's positive in that interval, it will be increasing function, and in case it's negative in that interval, it will be decreasing function. Mostly it'll be always consecutive, alternate. If it's increasing, next interval will be decreasing, then it'll be increasing, and otherwise, except few questions where you'll come across where in do consecutive interval function increasing or maybe decreasing. So these are the steps. For boards, I'll advise that you make a box, a table, where you write intervals over here. This interval, minus infinity to x1. Second interval, x1 to x2. Third interval, x2 to infinity. Then sign of f dash x, maybe positive, negative, positive. Then third column, nature of the function. And there you write, increasing, decreasing, increasing. So if you write this way, whatever you have done, nobody will see. Only they'll see the box and the answer, and you get full marks. But entrance will have all different ball game. You have to save time also, minimum time में question answer करना है. Minimum time में. तो minimum time 12 minutes भी हो सकता है, 12 second भी हो सकता है, depends. Because some question will be very easy. तुम ऑलरेडी कर चुके होंगे, कुछ क्वेश्चन ऐसे भी आएंगे वो 12 सेकंड में भी हो जाएंगे. सम क्वेश्चन मे बी लेंथी बट इजी. कुछ भी हो सकता है, डिपेंड्स हाउ मेनी क्वेश्चन यू प्रैक्टिस्ड. आंसर नहीं रटना है, ये हमेशा तुम्हें गलत एडवाइस करेगी, इसकी मत सुनना. चलो क्वेश्चन करो. There's a function y is equal to f of x equal to sin 3x. Find the intervals in 0 to 2 pi where the function is increasing or decreasing. Hmm. and plot the graph also. अभी नहीं, कभी नहीं हुआ आज तक. Odd multiple of 90. क्या खतरनाक चीज है. हम्म. हाथ से बनेगा. पेंसिल से. पेंसिल तुम्हारे पास है. नहीं करना होता, कभी नहीं कर. इंक्रीजिंग डिक्रीजिंग में यू नेवर डू दैट. सारे डॉट तुम्हारे अभी क्लियर हो जाएंगे जैसे जैसे हम करते जाएंगे ना. विल बिकम बॉन्ड ऑफ मैथ्स. ओपन इंटरवल लिखना है. हाथ से बनेगा. पेंसिल से बना लो. when you know increasing decreasing, you know the critical points.
So,
या बोलो.
नहीं कुछ नहीं, मैं भूल गई.
बोलो ना, शर्माया मत करो. क्या बात है. कॉस का कहाँ बनेगा ग्राफ. we have done function, you can't find the graph, can't plot the graph. Very bad. भगवान तुम्हें माफ नहीं करेगा. See, the function is f equal to sin 3x. Differentiate this. F dash x is equal to 3 cos 3x. Second step would be that we equate this to 0. You know that cos is 0 at odd multiples of pi by 2. Remember this. Cos 2n minus 1 pi by 2 is always 0. When cos is 0, sine has to be plus minus 1. Sine n pi is always 0. When sine is 0, cos will be always plus minus 1. So that means 3x will be pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, 5 pi by 2, 7 pi by 2, 9 pi by 2, and so on. Right? But the x is 0 to 2 pi. X is interval given to us is x belongs to 0 to 2 pi. So this is 3x. So I'll find x now. X is pi by 6, pi by 2, 5 pi by 6, 7 pi by 6. And this is 3 pi by 2. It is also falling in 2 pi. And then 11 pi by 2. 11 pi by 2 would be 11 pi by 6. Even this will be there because this is less than 2 pi. 13 pi by 2. 13 pi by 2 will be 13 pi by 6. This will not be included because it is greater than 2 pi. So these are the points which are the critical points. Yes.
तो फिर मैं 11 पाई बाय 6 और 2 पाई के बीच में क्या वैल्यू सब्स्टिट्यूट करूं?
अभी करते हैं, देखो यहाँ से आइडिया लगेगा, 3 का मल्टीपल ले लो कुछ भी, 3 से डिविजिबल होना चाहिए. सो दीज मेनी क्रिटिकल पॉइंट्स आर देयर. सो दिस इज द, सी, 0 is not the critical point, but since it's a part of interval, first interval would be 0 to pi by 6, second interval this, third interval this, fourth interval this. So what we do is, let's find out only, and the last would be 2 pi, 11 pi by 6 to 2 pi. इतने सारे इंटरवल फॉर्म हो गए. अब एक काम करते हैं, लेट्स टेक अ पॉइंट बिटवीन 0 एंड pi by 6. So I'll take x is equal to pi by 12. Why pi by 12? Because 12 is a multiple of 3. कहाँ पे सब्स्टिट्यूट करना है? डेरिवेटिव में. f डैश pi by 12 क्या आ रहा है? 3 cos 3x. So it is 3 cos pi by 4. Pi by 4 is 1 by root 2, which is positive. क्या कर रही है? नहीं नहीं, कुछ वो ही ना. So in the first interval 0 to pi by 6, the function is increasing. And then it will be alternating. Increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing, like that. So increasing, this is decreasing, increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing, increasing. It was 0 to 2 pi was given in the question. हाँ, उसका रीजन ये तुमने किया नहीं ना. 3x इज इक्वल टू 10. 3x की वैल्यू पाई बाय 2 हो सकती है, 3 पाई बाय 2 हो सकती है, ऑड मल्टीपल ऑफ पाई बाय 2 हो सकते हैं. आई टुक टिल 13 पाई बाय 2. फिर मैंने इसको 3 से डिवाइड किया. आई फाउंड x 11. सो 3x 11 पाई बाय 2 है, तो x कितना हुआ? 11 पाई बाय 6 इज लेस देन 2 पाई. तो आई नीड टू इंक्लूड दिस. द सेकेंड थिंग इज, जिस पॉइंट के लेफ्ट में फंक्शन इंक्रीज होता है, दैट इज पॉइंट ऑफ मैक्सिमा. सी, लुक एट दिस ग्राफ. यहाँ पे फंक्शन इंक्रीजिंग था, मतलब वी आर क्लाइंबिंग ऑन अ माउंटेन, तो दिस इज पॉइंट ऑफ मैक्सिमा. एंड इफ on a critical point, immediate left function is decreasing, the point that will be point of minima. अब क्वेश्चन आता है कि हाउ टू प्लॉट द ग्राफ. ग्राफ के लिए जस्ट रिकॉल आई डिड विद यू period of a function. Remember? So if you have a function a sine bx plus c or a cos bx plus c, so period of these kind of functions always 2 pi by b. Period means the interval after which the function repeat itself. So the इसका period कितना हो जाएगा sin 3x का?
2 pi by 3.
2 pi by 3. So using this, period of the function is 2 pi by 3. That means after 2 pi by 3, it will repeat. And you know the graph, sin x का graph कैसा होता है? Sine graph is always like this. It's a repetitive graph. And it's repeating from 0 to 2 pi by 3. This is 2 pi by 3. 2 pi by 3 to 4 pi by 3. And again, it will repeat. This would be 4 pi by 3. It will be 6 pi by 3. 6 pi by 3 will be how much? 2 pi. So this is the entire graph of sin 3x from 0 to 2 pi. What is range? What is the range of sin x? -1 to 1. It is sin 3x. It'll be, अरे बावली, 3 से मल्टीप्लाई कहाँ हो रहा है ये? sin 3x हो, sin 20x हो, वैल्यू विल बी 1 to 1, -1 to 1. पढ़ना बंद किया है, लग रहा है. आई नहीं ना पिछली क्लासेस में. 2 क्लास में इसके हैं. अच्छा. ऑनलाइन पता नहीं लगता कौन पढ़ रहा है कौन नहीं पढ़ रहा है. हाँ मुझे. ओ. So this is the graph of. Now see, tell me first point क्या आया था? This is 2 pi by 3. This is pi by 3. ये उसका आधा pi by 6. Look at the graph. 0 से pi by 6 तुम्हें माउंटेन पे क्लाइम करना पड़ा है. मतलब it is increasing function. And pi by 6 is point of maximum. अरे पढ़ लो, क्यों टाइम वेस्ट करिए? अलग अलग बैठो. मैं ऐसा करूँ, इधर बैठ जाओ, यहाँ बैठ जाओ, उसके पीछे साथ बैठ जाओ. ना पढ़ने नहीं देगी तुम्हें, ना तुम इसको पढ़ने दोगी. Then what was the next point? नेक्स्ट क्रिटिकल पॉइंट क्या था? π/3 प्लस 2π/3 डिवाइड बाई 2 कितना हुआ? π/2 होना चाहिए. नेक्स्ट था क्रिटिकल पॉइंट π/2. इट वाज 0. सो इन दिस इंटरवल the function π/6 to π/6, if if you sit here, it'll slide down. It's a decreasing function. 2π/3, and this is 4π/3 plus 2π/3, 6π/3. 2π/2 is, this must be pi. 2π/3 plus pi is how much? 5π/3. Divide by 2 will be 5π/6. Next critical point should be 5π/6. देखो, it was था इसमें. So next critical point is 5π/6. From pi/2 to 5π/6, function is increasing. Again, you are climbing on the mountain. And then pi plus 4π/3, 7π/3 will be 7π/6. क्या था next? 7π/6 था critical point. From 5π/6 to 7π/6, function again decreasing. And then again increasing, again decreasing, and so on. तुम घिच पिच क्यों लिखना शुरू कर दिया वापस? आधा इधर आधा उधर. कहा था ना मैंने, सिर्फ एक ही साइड में लिखना है. इसको पढ़ने का मन नहीं करेगा दोबारा. ये तो इसके देखो ना, इसने क्या हाल किया हुआ ये. बस. Right. So now notice one more thing. When function is increasing at the left of a given point, that point is basically point of maxima, local point of local maxima. This point of local maxima. At a point of local maxima, on the left of point of local maxima, function would be decreasing, or dy by dx would be negative. At the point of local minima, this is a point of local minima. On the left of point of local minima, function will be decreasing. That is, derivative will be negative. So on the left of a critical point, if dy dx is positive, that point will be point of maxima, because you're climbing. You reach on the mountain top. If on the left of a point, derivative is negative, that means you're going down. That means that point is point of local minima. So at point of local maxima, on the left of local maxima, tell me, इस पॉइंट के लेफ्ट में dy by dx क्या है? पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव? पॉजिटिव. ऑन द राइट ऑफ पॉइंट ऑफ लोकल मैक्सिमम, व्हाट इज dy by dx? नेगेटिव. That means at a point of local maxima, if I find second derivative का मतलब हुआ derivative of the derivative, d by dx of dy by dx. What is dy by dx, by the way? dy by dx is nothing but slope. Slope को I'm representing by m. That means change in slope by dx. Slope is changing from positive to negative at a point of local maxima. Change is always final minus initial. Final slope minus initial slope by dx. Final slope is negative. Initial slope is positive. That means what will be the sign of second derivative? It will be minus. So that is the reason at second derivative, at the point of local maxima, second derivative is negative. Because second derivative means change in the slope with respect to dx. So at point of local maxima, second derivative negative hoga because slope changes from positive to negative. At point of local minima, second derivative would be negative, positive because slope changes from negative to positive. Here m is negative and here m is positive. The slope changes from negative to positive. That's why second derivative at point of minima would be negative. Positive, sorry, positive. So when you differentiate something, you get the critical point like this. Then if you want to find out whether those points are point of local maxima minima, either you can use first derivative test. That is, on the left of the given point, find the derivative. If derivative is positive, it is point of local maxima. Or else you can find second derivative. If second differentiation is easier, if it's negative, it's point of local maxima. If it's negative, positive, it's point of local minima. Before that, one more question. या कर लेते हैं local maximum also. So this is the graph. This is the function. Equation number 1. I differentiate this, get dy by dx or f dash x. Equation 2. Then third step, equate it to 0. Solve for critical points. These are point of extremum. They can be maximum, point of maximum also, or point of minima also. Here, this is x1 and this is x2. From the graph, on the left of x1 क्या हो रहा है? Function is increasing. So in the first derivative test, तुम क्या करोगे? Take x naught on the left of x1. We are discussing whether x1 is point of local minima or maxima. Take some point x naught on the left of x1. Substitute in the derivative. If it's positive, then x1 is point of local maxima. Because on the left of x1, the graph is going up. That is why it is point of local maxima. Because on the left of x1, it is increasing. Function is increasing. And if you find f of x1, this will be called local maximum value of function. When you substitute the point in the function, it is local maximum value. By mistake, if you substitute this point in the derivative, you'll get 0. In the answer also, marks also. Because x1 per derivative is 0. Or you can find second derivative, f double dash x1, will it come out to be negative? Again, it is a point of local maxima.
Excuse me, sir.
हाँ बोलो.
सर फर्स्ट डेरिवेटिव टेस्ट एक्सप्लेन कर दो दोबारा.
First derivative test में you take a point on the left of the given point. x1 के immediate left में I took some point, say x naught. उसको डेरिवेटिव में सब्स्टिट्यूट किया. Take some point x naught which is immediate left of x1. Substitute in the derivative. If it's positive, it is point of local maxima. And try to understand, make a picture. If it's positive, that means function is increasing. It's going up. So when you're going up on a mountain, it has to be on the top, peak. So point of maxima.
ओके थैंक यू सर.
If it's negative, it's decreasing. It's point of minima. और उस पॉइंट को अगर तुमने फंक्शन में सब्स्टिट्यूट किया इक्वेशन 1 में, that will give you local maximum value. This is the local maximum value. This is f of x1. So you get local maximum value when you substitute the point in the function. Right? अब एक क्वेश्चन करते हैं. See, if it's easy to differentiate, if it's easy to find second derivative, advise use second derivative test. But sometimes in the second derivative, the value comes out to be 0. So it's better to use first derivative. If derivative becomes difficult to, differentiate again, use first derivative. F of x is equal to x minus 1 whole cube x plus 2 whole square. Question is, find critical points, intervals in which is increasing, decreasing, find local maxima, minima, point of local maxima, minima, find local maximum minimum values, and hence plot the graph. ठीक है, सब कुछ करना है. Find everything. शॉर्ट में लिख लो. There's no hurry, take on time. 12 minutes. First step. वो क्रिटिकल पॉइंट था, हाँ, उसके इमीडिएट लेफ्ट में ले डिफरेंशिएट करना है, 0 से इक्वेट करना है. नहीं करना ना डेरिवेटिव. हाँ हाँ राइट. लेकिन वो सब्स्टिट्यूट करके तो पता लगेगा ना. सही है, ठीक है. वो उठा कर यहाँ रखो, दूर कहीं पे. कॉमन ले लो. ए, तुम भी ना. हाँ, 3 और 2 में कॉमन ले लो. नहीं एक्स माइनस, हाँ ये आ रहा है, कॉमन आ रहा है. एक्स प्लस 2, ये भी कहा आ रहा है. ये तो एक्स प्लस 2 कैसे बचा? अच्छा ठीक है, अभी 0 में डालो. एक्स माइनस 1 स्क्वायर कॉमन आ रहा है, एंड एक्स प्लस 2 भी कॉमन आ रहा है. आराम से करना है, बिना जल्दबाजी किए. दिस क्वेश्चन स्लाइटली डिफरेंट. गलती मत करना. अभी तो ठीक थे, अभी तो ठीक है. अब ठीक है. अभी रुको ना, पूरा सिंप्लीफाई तो करो इसको, ब्रैकेट. हाँ, इसको इसको करो ना. हाँ, नाउ इक्वल टू नेक्स्ट स्टेप में. तुम्हारा ये कैसे आ रहा है? x-12 कैसे आ गया? अच्छा, डिफरेंशिएशन भूल गई लड़की, है ना? तो फिर भी डेरिवेटिव गलत कर रही हो, तो प्रोडक्ट रूल नहीं लगाओगी क्या? ठीक है। हाँ ठीक है। हाँ। अब this slight problem here. When you find derivative, product rule लगेगा. It is 3x minus 1 का square, x plus 2 whole square. This is x minus 1 whole cube, and this is 2x plus 2, right? Take common. X minus 1 whole square is common. X plus 2 is also common. And after solving this, hmm, क्या आ रहा है ये ब्रैकेट में? x minus 1 whole square, ये वाला क्या आ रहा है सॉल्व करके?
5x plus 4.
Right, so that's your derivative. Now, when you equate it to 0, one of the interval, one of the factor has even index, even power. That means this point is not a critical point. ठीक है? याद आ रहा है कुछ? Once upon a time किया था हमने ये. This is not a critical point because a perfect square. If a factor has even power, कुछ भी वैल्यू डालो इसके राइट और लेफ्ट में, we did in quadratic. लेफ्ट और राइट में फंक्शन का साइन चेंज नहीं होगा. That means 1 x equal to 1 is not a critical point, even though its derivatives. So if a factor has even power, that point will not be a critical point. So 1 is not a critical point. So critical points are -2. So either you can make a sign scheme. ये कितना आ रहा है? -4/5. So -4/5, and then it is -2 and 1. So 1 is not a critical point. ठीक है? This is a number line. If so, the sign is not changing across 1 because 1 is not a critical point. So if I take x is equal to say 0, this derivative comes out to be positive. If I substitute x equal to 0 over here, x equal to 0 lies in this interval, and this is positive, positive, positive. So this is positive. This is also positive. This is negative, and this is positive. So this is the sign scheme for the derivative. ये सबको समझ में आ गया? रागिनी, यदवी? हाँ, ये डेरिवेटिव साइन स्कीम है. मैंने x, आई पुट x इक्वल टू 0. क्रिटिकल पॉइंट नहीं है, बट 1 पे 0 तो हो रहा है ना फंक्शन. बट 1 के अक्रॉस साइन चेंज नहीं हो रहा डेरिवेटिव का. 1 के अक्रॉस द साइन ऑफ डेरिवेटिव इज नॉट चेंजिंग. हाँ, बहुत फर्क पड़ेगा, बिकॉज अगर क्वेश्चन आता है कि -4/5 टू इंफिनिटी, फंक्शन स्ट्रिक्टली इंक्रीजिंग और सिंपली इंक्रीजिंग, देन व्हाट डू यू आंसर? इंक्रीजिंग. लेकिन अगर हम 1 को एक्सक्लूड कर दें, लाइक इफ आई राइट -4/5 टू इंफिनिटी एक्सेप्ट 1, देन इट्स स्ट्रिक्टली इंक्रीजिंग. सो दिस इज द साइन ऑफ डेरिवेटिव. तो यहाँ फंक्शन इंक्रीज कर रहा है, यहाँ डिक्रीज कर रहा है, यहाँ इंक्रीज कर रहा है, यहाँ इंक्रीज कर रहा है. तो जिस पॉइंट के लेफ्ट साइड में फंक्शन इंक्रीज कर रहा है, यहाँ पे इंक्रीज कर रहा है. तो दिस पॉइंट इज पॉइंट ऑफ लोकल मैक्सिमा. बहुत लोकल है ये. जिस पॉइंट के लेफ्ट में
So,
फंक्शन डिक्रीज. यस.
so I didn't really understand. Could you please just walk through it one more time?
See, this is a function differentiated. I took x minus 1 whole square common, equated to 0, get the points -2, -4/5, and 1. Plot them on the number line. The problem is that this factor has a power which is even. That means whatever value I substitute in this factor, x minus 1 whole square, it will be always positive. That is, it will not change the sign of derivative because it always remains positive. So x equal to 1 is not a critical point. Then the intervals are this, right? I know that across 1 sign is not changing. I took some point x equal to 0. I found the value positive, 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 right? So in this interval, derivative is positive. Across 1 also, it will be positive because 1 is not a critical point. Then it will be alternating positive, negative, positive, like this. So we draw a wavy curve. Shortcut method is this. If all the factors have coefficient of x is positive, then the rightmost interval is positive. है ना? So positive, positive, then alternate. This will not alternate because 1 is not a critical point. Any factor which has even power will not be a critical point. So at -2 on the left derivative, the function is increasing because it's positive. So -2 would be point of local maxima. -4/5 is a critical point, and on the left of it, function is decreasing is a point of minima. Then you find local maximum value. What will be local maximum value? This. Then you find f of -4/5. What it will be? It will be local minimum value. Not minima, local minimum value. -4/5 पॉइंट ऑफ लोकल मिनिमा है. इसके corresponding function के value will be maximum value और minimum values. So we can plot the graph. हाँ ठीक है, तो प्लॉट करो ग्राफ. Approximately will plot the graph. ये क्लियर हो गया ना? ये वाला ये 1 कहाँ गया तुम्हारा? हाँ तो मतलब 1 पे 0 तो होगा ना. 1 पे 0 तो हो रहा है डेरिवेटिव. ये भी पॉजिटिव, ये भी पॉजिटिव. You can also find f of 1. हाँ फंक्शन में, बिकॉज वी फाइंडिंग लोकल मैक्सिमम वैल्यू, लोकल मिनिमम वैल्यू. अरे उससे कर लो ना. आई लव मैथ्स. मोबाइल से कर लो. मुझे यूज मोबाइल. ये तो हाँ, ये जीरो कैसे हो रहा है? अरे यू टू सब्स्टिट्यूट इन द फंक्शन, वही तो समझा रहा था. फॉर लोकल मैक्सिमम मिनिमम वैल्यू दीज क्रिटिकल पॉइंट्स. हाँ वो जीरो आ रहा है, लेकिन बाकी तो नहीं आ रहे ना. ये देखो ना. हाँ वो गलती से मिस्टेक होती है, जानबूझ के कौन करता है? मैंने
So
बताया भी था, यू हैव टू सब्स्टिट्यूट इन द फंक्शन, अदरवाइज जीरो मिलेगा और जीरो ही आंसर आएगा. Once you find point of local maxima minima, these points you need to substitute in the original function.
1 पे फंक्शन कुछ चेंज नहीं होगा.
1 पे फंक्शन का साइन चेंज नहीं हो रहा है, वो इंक्रीजिंग ही रह रहा है, लेकिन 1 पे इट इज स्लाइटली हॉरिजॉन्टल बिकॉज डेरिवेटिव इज 0. -2, -4/5, 0 and 1. 2 is point of local maxima. So 2 पे you have to have a peak. Approximately, you tell me what is f of -4/5? मोबाइल से कर दो. -8.3. What is f of 1? F of 1 is also 0. Now see the graph. We know that before -2 function is increasing and 2 is point of local maxima. The 2 पे ऐसा होगा. -4/5 पे it is point of local minima. It'll go like this. 1 पे it is 0, but it'll be slightly horizontal and go like this. This is the graph. F of -2 0. F of 1 is 0. f dash 1 is also 0. That means slightly horizontal. It's increasing in this interval. It is also increasing. Minus 4 by 5 is point of local minima. And this value is how much? Minus 8.3. This is minus 2 comma 0. Even though it's maximum value, local maximum value, but it is 0. Before that function is decreasing. हाँ, लोकल मैक्सिमा 0 आ रहा है, अदरवाइज यहाँ पे तो वैल्यू 1 0 से बड़ी है. दैट्स व्हाई वी कॉल लोकल. एब्सोल्यूट में ऐसा नहीं होता. उसी इंटरवल में आसपास, मतलब उस नेक्स्ट पॉइंट के पहले पीक बनेगा वहां पे हमेशा. लोकल में दिल बी ऑलवेज ए पीक बिकॉज एट द पॉइंट ऑफ लोकल मैक्सिमा मिनिमा साइन ऑफ डेरिवेटिव चेंजेस. Any question, any doubt you can ask. Before minus 2, everywhere function का derivative is positive, is going up, climbing. -2 to -4/5, अद्विका यहाँ अगर बैठेगी तो सीधे नीचे आएगी, मतलब इसे डिक्रीजिंग फंक्शन. उसके नीचे बैठी रह जाएगी. चल, यू नीड टू क्लाइम, क्लाइम होगी, यू कैन रिलैक्स ओवर बिकॉज इज पॉइंट ऑफ इन्फ्लेक्शन. वन पे डेरिवेटिव इज 0. ऊपर मत जाओ अभी. Suppose you've been given a function which is 4x cube minus 6x square minus 72x plus 30. Find everything and plot the graph also. Similar to what we did earlier. नहीं, 72x. तुम्हें क्या लगा 72 है? Intervals, critical points, local maxima minima, values and the graph. And hence find the number of roots also. आगे लिख लेना, hence find number of roots as well. Number of real roots. लोकल तो समझ में आ गया तुम्हें? बहुत लोकल है. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होगा. कुछ गड़बड़ की है, देखो चेक करो. ये क्या कर रही हूँ? इससे क्या मिलने वाला है? इसको सॉल्व करो। हम्म। ठीक है, वैल्यूज निकाली, इंक्रीजिंग डिक्रीजिंग हो चुका है, मैंने प्लॉट इट। राइट साइड में जीरो करो ना। हो गया। -2 और 3, हाँ तो राइट मोस्ट पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव होगा यहाँ पे -2 और 3 के बीच में। क्यों है? हाँ तो पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव पॉजिटिव आया, कैसे आ रहा है बताओ? तो -1, -1 तो इसमें है। हम्म, तो पॉजिटिव मतलब दिस पॉइंट ऑफ लोकल मैक्सिमा। इसके लिए वैल्यू निकालो, किस में डालोगी? किसमें? हाँ, इफ यू सब्स्टिट्यूट दिस पॉइंट इन द डेरिवेटिव विल गेट जीरो, मार्क्स भी जीरो ही आएंगे फिर। इंटरेस्ट में तो नेगेटिव भी आ सकता है। फैक्टर्स क्या आ रहे हैं? -2, now derivative 0. So the points, critical points are -2 and 3. So intervals -2, 3. This factor x is positive. This factor coefficient x is also positive. So rightmost interval positive, negative positive. So this is the sign scheme for derivative. This is the sign scheme for the derivative. It is point of local maxima. The point of local minima. Then you find values also. F of -2 find karo. Substitute in 1. And f of 3 also. Quick. Find point of values, local maximum values and local minimum values. आ गई? ओके, चेक करो। f -2 कितना आ रहा है? हम्म, ठीक है। 2 के पहले -2 के पहले ग्राफ इज गोइंग अप, but 2 will be peak. -2 would be peak. -2 is point of local maxima. ये 117 कैसे आ रहा है? हाँ तो 6 and 4 इवन है, तो इवन ही तो आएगी वैल्यू यहाँ पे। 108 कैसे आ रहा है? 118 नहीं है वो? 118 है ना? सो f(2) कितना आ रहा है? 118. And f(3) -132. Now see, it's very easy. -2 is somewhere here. 3 is somewhere here. This is origin. 2 is point of local maxima. Before -2, the function has to go up. And f of -2 is 130, 118. So graph will go like this. At 0, what is the value? At 0, the value is 30. So graph will go like this. This point is 0, 30. Then now the function is decreasing. F of 3 is negative, minimum value. So this point is 3, -132. And this goes up. ये इसका ग्राफ बन गया। -2 is maximum, point of maxima. And before -2 function is going up, before 3 functions going down, and 3 के बाद वापस up हो गया. Now my question was how many roots are there? Root का मतलब होता है at how many points the graph is intersecting x-axis. So using derivative, we can find the number of real roots of a given equation also. एक रूट ये आ गया, एक रूट ये आ गया, एक रूट ये आ गया. We can also figure out how many positive real roots are there and how many negative real roots are there. One negative. हम्म जहां पे ये y एक्सिस को इंटरसेक्ट कर रहा है. फंक्शन में y x को 0 डाल दिया, y की वैल्यू निकाल ली. अगर मान लो ग्राफ ऑफ दिस फंक्शन वाज लाइक दिस, इट कुड हैव बीन दिस वे आल्सो. ये मैक्सिमा, ये मिनिमा, लाइक दिस. मैक्सिमा आ गया तुम्हारा -2 पे, मिनिमा आ गया 3. इस बार हाउ मेनी रूट्स आर देयर? ओनली वन रूट, दैट्स पॉजिटिव रूट. ये भी पॉसिबल था. So using derivative and plotting the graph, we can find roots also of a given equation. हम्म क्वेश्चन कर लो. Function is x cube minus 3x square plus 4x. Find the intervals in which function is increasing. हम्म हो तो रहा है. हो रहा है. 12 बार. अच्छा. हम्म क्या कर रही है? मम्मी को, माही को. So if you differentiate this, you get x is 3x square minus 6x plus 4. So can you, middle of split is not possible. So what do you do? Find d. Use d method. The moment d is negative, it means it will not be 0. It will not be 0. And if you want, you can use perfect square also. X square minus 2x plus 4 by 3. So x square minus 2x plus 1 minus 1. Now this is a perfect square. This is x minus 1 whole square. And this would be 1 by 3. So f dash x is 3 into x minus 1 whole square plus 1. So the derivative is a perfect square plus 1. So you know that a perfect square is always greater than or equal to 0. So 3 into x minus 1 whole square will also be greater than or equal to 0. That means 3 into x minus 1 whole square plus 1 would be always greater than 1. That is, derivative of the function is always greater than or equal to 1. So derivative is positive. So when derivative is positive, that means this function is strictly increasing. ऐसा भी होता है. So function is strictly increasing. हाँ, because d negative था ना. It could have been possible that this comes out to be negative also. So then that will be decreasing, strictly decreasing. Find the intervals in which function is increasing or decreasing. Next. Find the intervals in which function is increasing or decreasing. ये बर्बाद विंडो नहीं है, मैं कूद जाता नीचे में. इतनी क्लासेस डिफरेंशिएशन करने के बाद माई न्यूमरेटर एज इट इज माइनस. हाँ, ये 4 कहाँ से आ रहा है ये वाला. देखो क्या किया है. प्रोडक्ट रूल लगा है. प्रोडक्ट रूल यहाँ लगेगा ना इसमें. Differentiate equated to 0 whole square. अच्छा, ये तो डिनोमिनेटर लिखा है तुमने. इसका कैसे किया. एक्स माइनस साइन और बाहर जो नेगेटिव साइन उसका क्या हुआ. ये जो बाहर नेगेटिव साइन है इसका क्या किया है. बाहर ब्रैकेट लगा गया तो नेगेटिव लिखो उसमें. यू डिडंट प्रैक्टिस ना. मैं बताया था पिछली क्लास में पढ़ना है तुम्हें. ऐसे कर लो, ब्रैकेट लगाओ यहाँ पे। हम्म। ये आएगा। ये एक्स कहाँ से? अच्छा, उसका ठीक है। फोर साइन स्क्वायर एक्स फोर, दिस इज इनटू टू प्लस कॉस एक्स ऑल्सो ना। So what are the terms cancelling out? 2 x sin x cos x हट गया. Then 4 sin square x, 4 cos square x add up gives you 4. टू एक्स साइन एक्स इसको एज इट इज, वो तो जीरो हो जाएगा बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली इट्स इक्वल टू जीरो. The entire term has to be zero, so they'll become zero. Yeah, this is plus 4 and this is minus 4. Then 4 cos x minus 2 cos x minus 2 cos x gives you 4 cos x. Then you have minus cos square x is equal to 0. That is cos x common. 4 minus cos x is equal to 0. Cos x is equal to 0. Cos x is equal to 4, which is not possible. है ना? Cos x cannot be 4. तो हट ही जाएगा. So cos x 0 आ रहा है. So अगर cos x 0 आ रहा है, that means x will be pi by 2 or 3 pi by 2. But interval's not been given, so you can take interval as 0 to 2 pi. Since interval is not mentioned, you can take 0 to 2 pi. So first interval 0 to pi by 2. Second would be pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2, and then 3 pi by 2 to 2 pi. 0 to pi by 2, you see your f dash x is coming out to be cos x 4 minus cos x divided by 1 plus cos x whole square, right? 2 plus cos x whole square. So if you take any value between 0 to pi by 2, first quadrant cos everything is positive. So it will be positive, negative, and positive. Increasing, Decreasing, increasing. नहीं, तुमसे पूछेंगे पहले वो, तुमसे पूछेंगे क्या देना है। ये बोर्ड क्वेश्चंस हैं। नहीं नहीं, हिट एंड रन हो सकता है, हिट एंड ट्रायल नहीं हो सकता। हिट एंड रन हुआ है ना, माही करती हिट एंड रन स्कूटी पे। f dash x is coming out to be cos x into 4 minus cos x divided by 2 plus cos x whole square. And since interval was not given, so we took interval 0 to 2 pi. Hmm? नहीं, given नहीं था तो why to take chances? Otherwise, in MCQ they'll give intervals and ask you. So in the next class, more questions, entrance level problems plus word problems also. Ending the class. See you next time.